Alright, so today we're going to be installing these Quiklatch fasteners. I don't want to do traditional hood pins, and the Siebmann ones are really big, so I've decided I'm going to try these Quiklatch ones made out of aluminum. They've got a pretty good lip here, so I should be able to get a good grip on the carbon fiber hood. And then they come with these pins. So I tried using the stock latch on my carbon fiber hood made by Rezo Sport, but works okay. It doesn't really get it clamped down just right, and more importantly, you start hitting speeds over 100 on the rare cases that I do that, and it starts to wobble at the edges. So clearly I need something more stable. So I'm hoping I can get just the Quiklatches without the stock latch, and we'll see how things go from there. So I drilled this out with the 3/8" hole, as it says. So that's where the bottom stud's going to go. It's nice and solid because it's through metal, as I said. I'm going to just clean it up and widen it out a little bit with a Dremel. Metal. So I did take out the prep. I did take out the headlights from the car, just because it makes it a little bit easier to get in with a particular position that I picked. You know, you probably, depending on the car application, you could end up having to remove any number of items. All right, now what the instructions say to do is to essentially get the stud in and then mark where it goes into your hood. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to have to mark it because there's already a mark. There's actually a hole that I'm trying to leverage in my car, so I don't need to mark it. However, if you did, it sort of says to use a piece of tape. I've seen people use paint, just a daub of paint on the top, drop it, let the paint sort of transfer. Any number of ways to do it, but those are certainly a couple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out my latch and make sure that I get this fitting. Yeah, lines up perfect with that hole. All right. So the next thing is to start drilling through, and you need to get basically a guide hole so that you can use a hole saw. So this may get a little messy. Now my hood, obviously, if you're doing this, you probably have a carbon fiber hood too. Spend a bunch of money on it. This is going to make me cry a little bit, probably. I'm going to use a very small bit at first, just to minimize the damage to the top of the hood, and then I will expand it from there. It does tell you to try and keep it angled to match the slope of the hood where you're going through. All right, nice and easy. I would recommend do not use dull drill bits for this. Carbon fiber, fiberglass, whatever else. Use a dull drill bit. You're just going to make that much more of a mess when you get through, and you do not want to do that if you can avoid it. So the next thing is to close the hood again. Take out the pin. I don't need it right this moment. And there's our little hole at top. Now you're going to want to tape this before you start doing anything else. Let's tape this up with some painter's tape just to help protect the finish. My hood happens to be wrapped, so good news is that if I needed to, I could probably get it rewrapped pretty easily versus a paint job or the actual carbon fiber finish, which if you mess that up, there's really no good way to get that fixed, or at least no cheap and easy way. Got that marked. I'm just going to reopen it with a marking tool. Now, even if you use the exact right size, I would still recommend cleaning up the hole with the Dremel, because honestly, carbon fiber gets pretty sharp. Now, the next step is to drill out the bottom part. Now, the bottom part, they want you to use a larger hole saw for the bottom. Oh, sorry, the top that they want to use, excuse me, is not a 2.5, it's a 1 1/4. I use something slightly lower than a 1 1/4. In this case, they want you to use a 2.5 inch. I use something, I actually think I did use a 2.5 inch. Yep. For the bottom, just so you can get that ring on tight and go from there. So the next thing is you gotta get the hood open again. And drill out this bottom part with the 2.5 inch hole saw. Now, if you had a finished carbon fiber hood, I would strongly recommend protecting this also. In this case, I do not. So I am not going to bother with that. It's going to make some scratches, but I will deal. Now, again, I highly recommend slow and careful, because the trick here is to only cut where you need to cut and not to cut that second layer. Again, you don't want to cut that second layer. And as you saw, it takes a little bit of maneuvering sometimes. Since my hood is not anywhere near flat, I'm sure as you won't be either, it takes some maneuvering to get everything just right. Same thing, I'm going to clean this up with a Dremel. So at this point, we can get this in. Now, I'm going to test fit this real quick. Get it up nice and snug. And now, one of the things that's a big question is exactly how to get the right depth. Now, they give you a bunch of measurements. I had watching a couple videos from other people, and also talking to a friend back in the day when I did my first fiberglass hood. They taught me a real easy trick for these, and that is to essentially drop them into place. So what you do is, get the bolt, unscrew the bolt completely, punch in, and then you drop it, and you should be able to get the screw on from the bottom. So, get this in. I wrap the top of that quickly because it needs to match my hood. And then we're gonna get anything lined up. I cut this bolt because I know otherwise it'll run into my headlights in this position. So to get this all matched up, you put the top bolt in, or at least this is how I tend to do it, not the directions. I think this is a good way to go. I'm doing it this way prior. Then you have the other bolts ready, including the washer. And then you simply test fit the hood. As you drop it, you're going to drop it right into your hole. Again, not having headlights in is helpful for this particular method. Takes a little bit to find the line. Up and into the hole. Once it's lined up into the hole, then the next thing you do is get the bottom screw on. Now for the top, you want that to be higher, and you can adjust down with the bottom until you get the thing just flush like it should be. This angle requires a little finesse. Then simply adjust the top bolt. Once the bottom bolt is in, simply adjust the bottom bolt down. And there you go. You get it nice and test fitted. Then you just tighten it up on top and bottom, and that side's done. Alright, so I wrap the top white so it's less noticeable. Said I cut the bolt. I've now tightened them up. 7/16 bolts to 7/16 top and bottom. So then I mirrored basically the exact same process on the other side. Drilling the same hole with the same pattern, top and bottom. So, if everything worked out, I'll be able to actually close this nice and easy. So far, so good. Click 1. Click 2. Perfect. Nice, smooth line on both sides, and hopefully no wobbling in the middle either. Anyways, hopefully this is helpful. Okay, so since I started talking about this, one of the questions I've gotten a few times is what I did with the when I took the latch off. There you are going to get a hood alert on your dash screen. It's going to say that the hood is open because the hood sensor latch is way down here. It's hard to see, but you can see it just barely down there where my finger is. There's a blue and a brown cable that goes to a sensor switch. It's what you would call normally closed, meaning that when the hood is open, the contacts are fused and you're getting signal. So what I did is that cable basically comes right along here. I took off the cover here and I cut it, just in case I ever put my stock hood back in. I've got a habit, I just sort of do this. I put a connector, which actually is covered with electrical tape right now, on both sides, so I can, and then patched in. So this way, if I need to put my stock hood sensor back on, I can simply connect these and it will work. But then I patched in a red and black wire. The black goes to brown, the red goes to blue. And then I used this regular hood switch. You can actually hear it's already wired in. The hood switches you can get, on eBay or any place that sells like, remote start or alarm type stuff. It's pretty simple. One part goes to the actual shaft of the hook, and then there's a little bullet connection that goes on the bottom. So it's pretty simple there. I mounted a screw to drill the hole there, and then because my particular hood doesn't really meet there, I had to create a rubber bumper that will meet it there, just to make sure that it actually closes the switch. And when you close the switch, it will actually, when it closes the hood, it will break the connection and the alarm goes away, just like the normal sensor did, but in a different location. So simple enough to do. I just need to know where to go look.